make sure it's recording. Okay, let's sit back.
Okay.
Hey guys, welcome to Unbiased Rugby. It's Donovan here.
Gordon, good day to you everybody. You can see I've got not a South African or New Zealand cap on. I've got a Golden Lions cap. That's because
Gordon's got no hair.
I've got no hair. I lost it with the cancer radiation, but I've got to keep my little skull warm.
But yeah, we were supposed to do this video yesterday, but basically you can't rely on these old people nowadays. Because I waited for Gordon the whole of yesterday and he just didn't arrive. And it's not like he was lying in bed or anything. He just was lazy. You just can't. These pensioners nowadays, they're just not the same as how they used to make pensioners in the old days. You know, you could rely on them and they would be around. So I finally got him here today. So what we're going to do is we both watched the games yesterday, which was great. I don't know if Gordon remembers it, but I'll talk through it, and then we'll go through the games. So
one thing I will remember, folks, is that you'll recall in the earlier days, a couple of weeks back, people said to me, I mean, not people didn't say it to me, but Donovan was saying to me, we were talking about rugby in general, and which is in my mind would be my best team, and I was right again. New Zealand. Look at the score yesterday.
The score was amazing. So the New Zealand Australia game there in Australia was 38 to New Zealand, 13 to Australia, and what made it even more amazing is what the Australians came out before the game and said they were going to have New Zealand scoreless. They were going to beat them scoreless. So it's just that's pure confidence. To obviously, not only do you think you're going to beat New Zealand, but you're going to have them scoreless, which is they were. Look, let's be honest, they were scoreless for the 30 minutes.
Yeah. Tell me, where was the game in New Zealand or?
No, it was in Australia.
Hell, to be smacked in the bloody face in your own home country, eh?
Well, what I found with the game was I thought Australia were very, very competitive for about the first 30 minutes. Because the score, I think at halftime was 6-5 to Australia.
Was in favour of Australia.
But after that, when it came to the second half, it looked like Australia was tired. They ran out of ideas. Their defence just crumbled.
And New Zealand just powered ahead.
Oh,
they're a remarkable team. Eh?
They absolutely are. Look, what was so nice was, I'm just looking here, I've got my other screen open here, so I'm just going to go through the things. So the tries for New Zealand were, it looks like Smith. So that's Aaron Smith, Jack Goodhue, Brody Retallick, Barrett, and Tufun Wasaki-Nahola. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tries. Just that's impressive, eh? That's really, really impressive.
Scattered, they've shared the tries amongst the team.
Well, for me personally, I'd say the two best tries of the day was the Retallick try when he did that dummy
pass,
and for a lock forward at 100 and whatever 30 kilograms to do a dummy, and against a back. I think it was Foley who was trying to tackle him, and he did that dummy and he scored that try. It was just that's like literally throwing salt into the wound when your lock forward actually does a dummy and scores a try. And then that one try from Wasaki-Nahola where he just darted zigzagged through everyone and scored that try was just phenomenal. But what I found with the game was that it's just so nice to actually have, because normally you know those back three positions, the two wings and the fullback. They're trying to have players that are similar kind of, they can interchange and they can change between the thing. And finally there's Wasaki-Nahola was there as the specialist winger, and it just goes to show that, you know, sometimes having just specialist wingers is the way to go. Because if you look at both games over the weekend, 6 tries were scored by wingers.
Yeah.
I think it's 6 tries scored by wingers. And that's impressive. Yeah. You know, it just goes to show that having specialist wingers it was a bit, we were using fullbacks more often for those kind of positions. It's just nice to see them back, you know, like specialist wingers. But overall I enjoyed the game. I think New Zealand just showed their absolute class. Yeah. They're on another level. Their fitness is amazing.
They're the masters of rugby.
Oh, flip, they're incredible. And I was just looking at the two things from that game that are a bit concerning. Was obviously Ryan Crotty was hit in the head again. The guy seems to come back for 1 or 2 games and then he gets concussed or he gets a head knock. And I don't know, personally, you know, you got to start looking at your health. Yeah, and the guy,
he's a young guy.
well, he's a young guy, but he just seems to he's had so many head knocks in a row. And I look at somebody like, remember, it was the same with Pat
Lambie.
You know, and he also got a lot of head knocks.
Yeah.
And it was just one after the one, and then he actually had to take, I think he took almost a year off.
A sabbatical, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I think Ryan Crotty is world class. I think he's probably one of the best centres on the planet. But I think the guy needs to take a year off. You know, like literally regroup, get back next strength, learn to obviously just get his health back, because you can't carry on like that. You know, the guys it's gonna get permanent damage for that going forward. But overall, what did you think of the game, Gordon?
Brilliant. I liked that fight back in the second half with New Zealand. I think a lot of people had it on their minds that because Australia were a few points ahead in the first half, that they were going to actually take the game away.
Yeah.
But surprise, surprise.
Yeah. Well,
again,
actually reading through,
the victors have won, New Zealand.
Well, reading through most of the comments, I think everyone just lambasted Australia for actually just saying that they were going to have the New Zealand scoreless. Yeah. You know,
they eat their words now. And I tell you what, there's so much rivalry between those two countries in rugby.
Yeah.
I remember in the days the Lilly brothers played cricket for New Zealand. I think it was New Zealand. And they were playing Australia. And the two brothers, one's bowling, and now he had 1 point. This would win or lose the game. Anyway, the brother told him to bowl an underhand along the ground.
Creepy crawly.
A creepy crawly, yeah. Which he did, and New Zealand lost. Today, well, when I was there in 15, it was like 15 years. It must have been about 30 years after that. They still talk of that game. They deserve to, because they were robbed through actually trashy play, not sportsmanship. But that's not to say Australia are bad sportsmen. They just can't play rugby yet.
Well, what I took out of that game the most was I look at their players across the park, and Australia have the players. You know, there's Pocock, there's Israel Folau, there's Beale, there's Guinea. You know, these are world-class players, you know, on the absolute highest level. What I found was the most telling thing was the fitness wasn't up, and you can't play New Zealand without any fitness. Your fitness has to be 160 minutes of fitness to be able to play against New Zealand. They ran out of ideas in the second half, so their attack was lost. And their defence, I don't know who their defence coach is, but something's wrong. And I'm saying it's at a coaching level. I'm not saying it's the head coach, but I'm saying there's not enough coaching around him for the defence structures, and the attack structures just seem to be out of sync. But look, it is the Bledisloe Cup. Australia do get up for the second game, so let's see. I'm hoping that the second game is a little bit more not one-sided.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit more competitive, because Australia have the players. It's just there's something not right, and I'm sure it's fitness and coaching. So, but yeah, that was the first game of the Rugby Championship, and as predicted, 38. I said 12. I think 9 points or 12 points that they'd win by, and it happened. So. But yeah, now we move on to the next game of the weekend.
Sorry, congratulations, New Zealand.
Yeah, congratulations to New Zealand. And another thing, you know, there's been a lot of talk in the newspapers in New Zealand about them, that the haka doesn't have the same kind of impact that it used to have in days past, because there's so much rugby being played. But look, let's be honest. Look, there's 6 games, plus 4 is 10. I think it's 13 or 14 games a year. I don't think it's that many times. Everyone looks forward to seeing it.
If you took the haka away from New Zealand, you might as well just tell New Zealand not to play rugby anymore.
Exactly. So
that's part of them. It's their makeup. It's their what do they call it?
The DNA.
For the game.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to think of the word. It's to give them.
It's just
it's exhilarating for them, and it gives them a bit of oomph when they go into the game as well.
It's like nothing beats. My favorite thing is when we sit there watching at Ellis Park, and you've got the haka happening in front of the Springboks. Everyone's facing off on each other, and all the crowd are going wild. And that for me is just, it's a special moment, and I don't see why it should be stopped or it's lost its impact. I think it's got more impact today than any other time. So that's just my personal opinion.
It's the other people opposing that should actually...
I think it's mostly the rugby players that are the previous rugby players, and I'm going, for me personally, it still has the same impact.
Yeah, we've always enjoyed it. I mean, my wife loves the haka.
Yeah, even Jane also comes in.
She was bathing. She would get out of the bath nude just to watch the haka.
But yeah, so that's our opinion on that. Okay, so let's go on to the next game of the weekend, which was South Africa versus Los Pumas.
Jaguares.
But I must admit, we do get a little bit confused because I also call them the Jaguares, but we know that they're Los Pumas. Look, in the first half, I was getting a little bit antsy because we were
down. Yeah.
We were down,
yeah. And not minimal. I think it was 7 or something.
But I have to be honest that even through that whole first half, it didn't feel like we were going to lose. I didn't have that feeling, even though we were down, or it was I must admit there were a lot of strange things happening. Andre Pollard couldn't kick to save his life. Malcolm Marx thought he could throw to the other side of the field over everyone. So there were a few things that weren't firing on all cylinders, but I didn't once have that feeling that we were going to lose.
Yeah, but we won. That's the most.
We won. Look, I think there were 6 tries,
and significantly too. Eh?
No, I think so. I absolutely agree. Look, the 2 tries that Argentina scored were off. I could see when we were hitting the ruck. They were going over the ball, and eventually the Los Pumas just came around, grabbed the ball, and went, and they scored. So I think there were a few little issues at position 8. So I think I like Warren Whiteley, but there was a few. You looked a little bit rusty at Springbok level.
If you look at the game yesterday, and
it was the day before.
Sorry, the day before, and if you look at the Argentinians 5 years ago. And you compare 5 years ago with the rugby they're playing today, in 5 years they'll be the world leaders in rugby because they really are playing well.
I really think that they're on the up. Like this last year and this last coaching that they've had, they've really been. I think they're behind Italy. They're really low in the rankings. I think they might be 11th if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but it's 10th or 11th.
For these guys,
but I just think
tough team.
I think Ledesma's the right coach. I think he's gonna turn that team around like you won't believe. He's well respected. I think he's got a great rugby brain.
Yeah.
He believes in fitness. He believes in being physical, these are classic traits for Argentina. And I've always remembered when we were growing up. It was the Argentinians had a strong set piece game, so they had strong scrums, strong lineouts, and I think Ledesma is going to bring that back. He's going to bring the same as what Russie's doing with the box, going back to our we need to play an expansive game, but we need to go back to our traditional strengths, which is forward dominance and great defence. And so I think, regardless of what the score was, I think Argentina's on the up, and I think next week's going to be a much closer game.
Yeah, I'm figurating it is. Look, the Argentinians they have really amazed me because I remember as a youngster they couldn't play rugby properly, and they kicked the ball around. But there's more professionalism in their approach now.
I agree 100%. And I think with them now stopping the rule that only people playing in Argentina can play for Los Pumas, I think they need to be the same as South Africa, where we can pull our players from overseas. But that also comes with a few things. I know that Russie has had to negotiate with WASPs to try get our international players, even though the rules state for World Rugby that we're allowed to have our players through the international window. I just think you have to negotiate with the clubs overseas. They are paying them big money overseas, and you need to have a give or take with the clubs overseas. So for the start of the Rugby Championship, I think it was great that we had a win. We've got Makazola and Pimpi is just he's phenomenal. Look, I do like Sabun Corsi, you know, the guy from the Sharks.
Right wing.
Yeah, 14, and I think he's physically strong. Yeah, young, but
and tough as
exactly.
nails.
But we've got Makazola and Pimpi, who's a finisher. He's at the right place at the right time, and I like the fact that we had Esterhuizen, Am, and Mapimpi in the back row because they're all from the Sharks, which makes it the continuity a lot better. But Fia Duante, you know, that number. I think he's number 11 or number 14, one of the wings. Jeez, he's an amazing player.
Yeah. Both of the wings, actually. They put down 2 each, eh?
Yes. But Afia Duante is just...
And Faf.
And Faf, yeah. Faf also... we were talking about during the game, and Faf must really get under the skin of some of the players because...
Smack him across the head.
Because it's a small guy and he's bouncing around. He's always
you notice
chirping.
he takes some guys up to their elbow.
But that's what you need from a scrum half. You need someone who's just in your face and he's all there all the time. And I enjoy the way that he plays.
Yeah.
It's like the Energizer Bunny on steroids. Yeah, I think he's all over the place. Not that he's on steroids. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying he's like the Energizer Bunny with a lot of batteries in him. So, and then the other try was from I'm trying to look here on the score. Yeah, was from Lakanya Arm. Also a brilliant player. But I think, but I was doing the maths. Do you know that I think the Beast has more caps than the entire back row, plus all the back row players on the bench. He's got more caps than all of them combined. So it just goes to show how much more.
I wonder when he's going to retire, eh?
I think he's only going to do it after. I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to probably retire from international rugby after the World Cup.
Gosh, eh?
Maybe do one more championship, or maybe do championships from the bench. But the guy's so fit. You know, he's in exceptional form
for a big guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's.
I think he's like a, what's it they call, like a fine wine.
Yeah.
You know, he's improved with age.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he's playing the best rugby he's ever played. You know, when he was younger, he used to cause a lot of penalties. He used to, you know, but he was physically dominant. But I think now he's much more intelligent, a lot calmer. Yeah. Okay. Look, he did. I can't remember who went after Faf, and then Beast just came in and just lost the plot, and then we had a penalty against us.
Yesterday?
Yeah, on the Saturday's game.
I remember the incident, but I don't remember it.
No. I also remember that. I can't remember what happened, but so a few argy-bargies there. But look, overall, you know, I've been reading a lot of the Springboks have been getting a lot of stick for the way that they played. You know, it wasn't exceptional rugby. Malcolm Marx had a few line-out issues, but I was looking at it and I was going, you know, Malcolm Marx normally has Franco Mostert who does the calls. Yeah. Franco Mostert's at the Lions and for the Springboks. Yeah. So Franco Mostert would have seen that Marx was having a few issues, and he would have changed the calls. So he would have said, okay, let's throw to the second jumper, secure our ball, and then move forward. But it just kept like 3 throws in a row, right over the top. And you've all got to take responsibility. And Mark said, I'll take it on the chin that, you know, I made the mistakes and I'll work on it. Yeah. But it's also got to be the caller. Yeah. You know, Peter Steff is supposed to say, okay, I can see he's having a few issues. Let's get him back. Let's settle down the lineouts. Let's throw to 2, secure our ball, and then try to score. So I think I feel for Marks, even though he had a great game, and there is stuff that he needs to improve on. But you know, I think there's a whole thing that they can sort out at the lineup. But how was Evan Etzebeth?
What was that? His first game as a Springbok?
Who? Malcolm Marks?
Yeah.
No, it's his first game back in a while. Remember, he was injured. I think he was injured during Super Rugby, so he missed the June series against England. But how's this? So even though he made quite a few mistakes at line, I still think he was the best hooker over the weekend from all 4 teams. So, you know, but they were saying on the channel that you can be the best hooker, you can be great in the breakdown, you can steal ball, you can be drive forward, but his first job is to throw into the lineouts and hook the ball. Yeah. So that's what you got to get right first. So that's his first job. Everything else is a bonus. So I think, but I'm sure he'll sort it out by next weekend. He's just one of those kind of players. Same with Andre Pollard.
Yeah, he was off, eh?
He was off, you know, he missed 11 points. So it would have been, if it was a perfect day, what was the score? It was 34-21. So it would have been 45-21. Yeah, so that's a lot of points to leave on the board, on the field. And playing against New Zealand or Australia, those 2 points from every single conversion are important. Yeah. But yeah, those were the 2 games for the weekend. How did you enjoy both of them, Gordon?
Yeah, well, I'm thrilled that South Africa won their game, because I've always said if South Africa is playing somebody out, even if they were playing New Zealand, I would support it because it's my country. But I would have felt better if New Zealand had won. But yesterday's game, I'm quite thrilled that they beat Australia, because the rivalry between those 2 countries, New Zealand being small, Australia, I think, you've got about 21 million people there.
That's much bigger than New Zealand.
And New Zealand's got about 6 or 7 million people.
I don't even think it's that much. I'm not sure. I don't really know the demographics. But all I can say for the South Africa Argentinian game, I'd rather take an ugly win over a beautiful loss. And like last year, we forget that we lost by 1 point to Newlands, and we were so happy because the Springboks played so well. But we lost. At the end of the day, we lost. And I don't care how, at the end of the day, 30 years from now, it's going to be remembered that we lost the game at Newlands. It's not going to be remembered how well we played. So...
And I tell you, another factor to consider is the crowd, spectator volume at the game yesterday. The South African game was fantastic.
I didn't think it was so bad. A lot of people have commented on it that it wasn't that great. But for the way that Super Rugby is being happening at the moment, the way that it was raining, or it was raining on that day, it was quite overcast. I think people are trying to save their money for the other big games.
Was it raining in Durban on?
It rained on the day before, and it was overcast that day. So look, even though it didn't look that great, I thought it looked on the members' side. It looked really good.
Yeah, members' side was full house.
Look, it wasn't the same as the Australia-New Zealand game, but at the end of the day, those are the games that bring in the really big,
the bucks and the people,
the spectators. The South African-New Zealand game's always going to bring in the most spectators.
Oh, of course, so they'll always be almost full house.
And I think that's for any team in the world.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not talking England and those kind of things. Those stadiums are fairly kind of full, but any team that's playing New Zealand is going to pull in the crowds.
And I'll tell you what draws the crowd: the haka.
Yes, I think so too. There's a whole thing around it. It's the mystique about the team. It's the haka. It's the way that they play. There's their physicality. It's just that they are the best of the best of the best, and that's what brings in the crowd. So I think it's going to improve over the whole tournament, the crowds. And but yeah. That was our weekend games. You got anything else to add before we sign off, Gordon?
No, nothing much. Just that I enjoyed watching South Africa beat the Jaguares.
The Los Pumas.
I like pronouncing Jaguares.
Well, I must admit, because all of us look at the spelling and it's always like the Jaguars and stuff like that. So, and it's been quite nice to actually pull in, the way that it gets pronounced properly. Maybe we've been not pronouncing it right either.
Well, we've known it as the Jaguars.
Yes.
For 30 years.
No, only while it's been Super Rugby. It's always been Los Pumas.
No, when they played in South Africa years ago, they were the Jaguars.
No, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Check it out.
I will check it out.
The Los Pumas. Or it could be just the Pumas.
The Pumas, yes.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, so I have nothing more else to add. All I can say is I enjoyed the weekend of rugby. I thought both games were exceptionally entertaining, and I'm looking forward to next weekend's next games.
Yeah. Thanks, folks. Thanks for sending me a message of goodwill, and I'm almost there. I'm almost out of it.
Before I forget, Gordon.
Yeah.
This weekend, we got over 300 subscribers.
That's fantastic.
So from this morning, we were at 301 subscribers, which is exceptionally good. We're super happy that we've got that many subscribers. And I just want to say, guys, thank you very much for supporting our channel. We really appreciate it. We've had so much fun actually just commenting on anything, on the games.
Well, I'm a novice at commenting on rugby, but I am learning.
I think we all are learning it all at the same time. But listen, guys, if you like our video, please like it and please share it. And if you like our channel, please subscribe to it. But listen, guys, I hope you have a great week. Chat to you guys soon. Cheers. Bye.
Whoa, it's cold.
It is, eh?